When people think about investing, they rarely think about ordinary days. They do not imagine slow progress, small changes, or quiet periods where nothing dramatic happens. Instead, they imagine extreme moments. They imagine crashes. They imagine sharp declines, alarming headlines, and the feeling that something has gone terribly wrong. This focus is understandable. Crashes are emotional events. They are loud. They interrupt normal expectations. They create stories that stay in memory much longer than years of gradual growth. Because of this, many people judge investing not by its long-term behavior, but by its most extreme moments. This creates a distorted picture. This video exists to slow that picture down. Not to minimize crashes. Not to dismiss fear. But to understand what crashes actually are, why they happen, and how long-term investors relate to them. Understanding replaces shock. And shock is what turns fear into panic. A market crash is a rapid decline in prices across a large portion of the market. It often happens over days or weeks rather than years. Crashes are usually triggered by uncertainty. Sometimes that uncertainty comes from economic stress. Sometimes from financial imbalances. Sometimes from unexpected global events. But the trigger is not the most important part. What matters is what follows. A crash represents a sudden shift in expectations. People collectively reassess risk. Confidence declines. Fear spreads faster than information. Prices fall not because the economy disappears overnight, but because expectations change rapidly. This distinction matters. A crash is not the same thing as permanent damage. It is a moment of reevaluation, not an erasure of value. Human psychology did not evolve for financial markets. It evolved for survival. Our brains are highly sensitive to loss. Loss feels more intense than gain. Fear feels more urgent than patience. Immediate threats feel more important than long-term trends. During a crash, these instincts activate automatically. Prices falling signal danger. News headlines amplify that danger. Social conversations reinforce it. This creates a feedback loop. Fear increases selling. Selling increases price declines. Price declines increase fear. Understanding this loop does not stop it from happening. But it helps explain why crashes feel overwhelming even when systems remain intact. Media plays a powerful role during market downturns. Negative events receive more attention than positive ones. Urgency increases engagement. Fear captures attention. During crashes, headlines often focus on worst-case scenarios, dramatic predictions, and comparisons to past disasters. This framing magnifies emotional impact. It does not necessarily reflect long-term reality. This does not mean the media is wrong. It means its incentives favor intensity over perspective. Understanding this helps reduce emotional overload. One of the most confusing aspects of crashes is the speed of price changes. Prices can fall dramatically in a short period of time. But economic systems move much more slowly. Businesses do not instantly stop producing. People do not immediately stop consuming. Skills, infrastructure, and knowledge do not disappear overnight. Prices respond to expectations. Economies respond to fundamentals. During crashes, expectations move first. This gap between price movement and economic reality is where fear thrives. Selling during a crash often feels like taking control. It provides immediate relief from uncertainty. The discomfort stops, temporarily. But relief is not the same as resolution. Selling locks in outcomes based on a moment of fear. This does not mean selling is always wrong. It means decisions made under stress often prioritize emotional relief over long-term consequences. Understanding this helps explain why many regrets are formed during downturns. During crashes, losses appear on paper. These losses feel real because they are visible. But visibility does not equal permanence. A decline in price is not permanent until a decision is made. Permanent outcomes come from actions taken during temporary conditions. This distinction is subtle but crucial. Long-term investors focus more on avoiding irreversible decisions than on avoiding temporary discomfort. Time changes perspective. Events that feel catastrophic in the moment often shrink when viewed across years. This does not make them insignificant. It puts them in context. Long-term charts show that downturns are interruptions, not endpoints. This perspective is unavailable during the crash itself. That is why preparation matters. Crashes are not bugs in the system. They are consequences of uncertainty, optimism, and human behavior. Markets reflect human expectations. When optimism becomes excessive, corrections follow. When fear becomes excessive, recoveries begin. This cycle has repeated throughout history. Different causes. Different narratives. Same emotional pattern. Understanding this pattern reduces surprise. Volatility measures how much prices move. It does not measure failure. High volatility means uncertainty is being priced in. During crashes, volatility increases sharply. This does not mean collapse is inevitable. It means disagreement is high. Understanding volatility helps separate movement from meaning. Recoveries rarely feel obvious. They often begin quietly. Fear lingers even as prices stabilize. Confidence returns slowly. Waiting for certainty often means missing the transition. This is why emotional decision-making during crashes is so costly. People who expect crashes feel less shocked by them. People who expect constant growth feel betrayed. Expectations shape emotional response. They do not remove discomfort. They determine whether discomfort turns into panic. Long-term thinking includes expecting difficult periods. History does not guarantee future outcomes. But it provides context. Every generation experiences its own crises. Each feels unique in the moment. Understanding this does not trivialize suffering. It reduces isolation. The biggest losses often come from panic selling, abandoning structure, or avoiding re-entry. These behaviors create gaps that time cannot easily repair. This is why structure matters most during stress. A long-term plan is not just financial. It is psychological. It exists to reduce decision-making when emotions are strongest. Structure replaces improvisation. Crashes filter expectations. They remove overconfidence. They test patience. They reveal understanding. They do not define the end of the system. They define moments of stress within it. The goal during crashes is not to feel fearless. Fear is natural. The goal is to avoid being surprised. Prepared minds respond differently than shocked ones. Crashes are part of investing because uncertainty is part of life. Understanding this does not remove pain. It removes confusion. And confusion is what turns discomfort into irreversible decisions.